Now, the International Federation of Red Cross says 24.8 million people in Nigeria lack enough food, and it is now working with the federal government to get this category of Nigerians out of abject poverty. The humanitarian organization has now launched an emergency appeal to raise 23 billion naira, which it says will benefit a total of 1,092,300 persons in the country. The head of the delegation for the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, that's Bhupinder Tomar, said Nigeria was facing an unprecedented hunger crisis this year and has lauded President Bola Tinubu for declaring a state of emergency on food insecurity. Well, Arise analyst Dayo Sobowale joins us now to look at the need to curb the rising hunger in Nigeria and how government at all levels can guarantee food security. Good afternoon, a very warm welcome to Newsday.
Pleasure being here as usual.
Right. Now, today, unfortunately, morbid issues at hand, food security in Nigeria. What are your initial reactions to the campaign that is being led by the Red Cross?
Well, it's a pity that the Red Cross is using philanthropy to get us out of our food crisis. But the government has taken it on, seemingly with full determination, when it declared emergency in the food sector. But you see, that has not translated to affordability or even the availability of food. You get me? In the president's speech, when he declared the state of emergency, he said the problem is not availability, which I agree with, but affordability. And then I will add to that, see, the distribution and the functioning of the food chain. There's a lot wrong. You go to our markets, you see they are brimming with products, food, and all that. You go to the street areas, these junctions, even in the go-slow, you see food everywhere. They are selling food. In the go-slow, people eat, because they will be late. So something is very wrong. You see, the food is there, and people are getting it at the right time. But those measuring the index in the World Bank, in the Bureau of Statistics and all that, they are doing their job too. Get me? But what they see is that the prices are always rising. Like the Bureau of Statistics said very clearly, all sorts of inflation. The normal inflation, the rural, urban inflation, the rural, everywhere food prices are rising. But the food are not scarce. Go to the markets. I tell you, any market in Lagos, anywhere, get me? Except in places where you have insecurity. So there is something very wrong. Government must match its resolve. You get me? And the urgency which it has shown in tackling the problem by making sure that the logistics work in such a way that the food are at the right places and the prices are affordable to people. You may not believe it, in the food chain industry, if you go to Lagos nowadays, young boys, you get me? They are selling food, making akara, making so many things, and there are car parks all over to survive. People are eating food, but you get me? But on the whole, the indices are there that prices could be better and the food should be more optimally distributed. So government must match its resolve. If you say there is an emergency, what have they done since? What have they done since? You see, the farmers in the north is the food workers, northeast, northwest, they cannot go to their farms because of insecurity. The last government, especially through Emefiele, through agriculture, through additional, our man who is the African Agricultural Institution, they opened large farms in the north. But now, those farms, they are literally closed because of insurgency, because of insecurity, because of marauders. So, and the government has said that the food insecurity is such that anything pertaining to food will now be discussed at the National Security Council. Yes. I'm not as alarmed as the statistics are saying, because I face reality. The statistics are statistics. But you have not reached level of starvation yet, as far as I'm concerned. Get me? But we don't need to get to that before. And the difficulty is that the government is showing concern, but that is not translating into providing succor or making the food prices come down or making the logistics available for the transportation to deliver the food at affordable prices and making them available at the right places. So that is my take on it. Government needs to walk its talk to deliver on its promise. And again, if I see, I'm not very optimistic on government living up to what it has promised. And I will tell you why. You know, they just had the IMF meeting. The IMF president, new president, a Sikh Indian American, you get me, said that government in the world should remove subsidies on fuel, fisheries, and agriculture. And you know our problem in Nigeria. Those are the three things bothering us in Nigeria. But he's advocating that subsidies on those three, you get me, they are about $1.3 trillion, that it is too much. That they listen carefully, they contribute to warming up the climate. You get me? And create a cost of about 6.3 trillion. And that the world cannot sustain that. That the world should move away from fisheries, fuel, which is causing problems, and agriculture, which we are discussing. You get me? And make effort to target transformation to climate change, green energy. You get me? And you know our problem in Nigeria, if you don't have fuel, you are finished. You get me? You have not managed the oil well. You get me? That's why you have fuel subsidy. Left to me, the three things he said they should remove subsidy from are the three things we need subsidy on. Food, fisheries, agriculture. So you see where we are now, and we are going capping now to borrow money from there, because you are just back from there. In spite of our experience, the perdition they had led us to all over the years, go and look at our economic history. So I think this government should be wary of the sort of relationship it keeps with the IMF and put its house in order. You get me? It's our informal economy that is keeping this country moving, despite of the mismanagement and the lack of serious leadership that is apparent in the way the food crisis is being handled. So I pray for a change. But the hope is not from the IMF.
Very insightful. Yes. I was taking in all you were saying. It's not about availability, but affordability and all the subsidy as items that were brought up during the IMF
need food.
Meeting. Yes.
Need reduction in fuel price.
Yeah. But at the same time, Mr. Sobowale, seeing that we maintained our rank 103 out of 121 or
we only beat 5 people.
Yeah. Seeing that we maintain that, how content are you with the metrics that are used to, determine where we fall on that index? Do you think it needs to be expanded, knowing the current realities that we're faced with as a country right now?
Okay. I will tell you, see, I don't want to question the integrity of the statistics that have been used. But you see, they use diet, the sort of diet you take. And they say in one particular instance, they could not get the diet statistics from Nigeria. So they use that of Benin Republic. Okay. But these are people who have visibility in the media and all that. But what I'm trying to tell you is that go to the markets. We are in Nigeria, yeah. IMF is in Washington or wherever something. We are in Nigeria now. See, it is nice that a body like Red Cross, they are doing philanthropy. It's like they are saying that Nigeria is a disaster nation. They want to rescue us, which is not good for our image, and which I don't think that is the situation. You cannot look at our ministers, look at our National Assembly, see the paraphernalia and practices of office, financial terms, and In terms of dressing and all, this is not a poor country. It is a
Some might argue that that's the 1%.
What?
Some might argue that that's the 1%.
That are on. While the rest of us are in penury. But you see, Nigerians are a hard-working, long-suffering lot. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That it is the informal sector, which FAO, United Nations, the international IMF, they don't know how to measure what is going on there. But that is what is keeping us alive. Just like the cottage industry in Italy, the designers and the food. I mean, the perfumes, the clothes, the shoes. They keep the economy floating. Whereas if you look at all the budgetary, physical modalities to measure performance, they say they are going down the drain. Just like they say we are going down the drain. But you go and look at the markets, then people are surviving.
Now, in the 50s and 60s, India was regarded as a beggar nation. It was regarded as a nation that had, high starvation, hunger. They were unfortunately used as the poster child for these conversations. However, they used the Green Revolution to be able to empower various sectors of agriculture, food processing, industry pertaining to food products as well. Now, I know we've already spoken about the state of emergency on food security and some of the measures, but what creatively, because it seems that the issue isn't really the reforms or the means that we're using to try and address the issue. It seems to be institutional issues. So, for example, as you've said that you'd like to see subsidy on agricultural sector, on food manufacturing and so forth. But institutionally, we've already seen that subsidy is not something that works or really translates efficiently for our economy. Now, where do you think some plugs could be made with regards to how we're getting food from farm to table for Nigerians?
The supply chain has been broken by insecurity, one. And you mentioned India. In fact, there was a comparison between India and China before. That India will go faster than China. But then after about some 20 years, they looked at it again. China has gone further for the simple reason that the Chinese make sure their women were educated. Whereas India, for various religious reasons and so on, Islamic, Hindu, women were not there. So China forged ahead. But you see, talking about the food chain, look, during the Buhari regime on agriculture, he had about 10 policies, I'm telling you, which they spent a lot of money on. But that has not yielded any result. Or it's being seen as not yielding a result. You get me? I would like somebody to do a audit of those bodies and see how far they went before this new regime came in. In Nigeria, people want to start afresh when it is their turn. About 10, I'm telling you, about 10 agricultural oriented food creating and sustaining bodies were set up. What happened to them?
What happened to them? That is the question on several people's minds. But Mr. Sobowale, we thank you again for your insight and your analysis on this.